Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Nigerian boxer picks semi
Want de Kuip trilt is een understatement. Ik vraag me af of hij al blijft.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics,
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Mike is here.
Thanks for having me this morning. Glad to be here.
Together, we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. First, we'll start with this is coming from Sandy. Nigeria's three-man team will begin their medal quest at the 2025 World Sambo Championship in Biscuit, far away Christian, later today. Like I mentioned, three-man team, Fatai Balogu, Samuel Kekere, and Sodiq Ajibade, all competing in the combat and blind Sambo categories. This looks like a novelty sport, but it looks as well that competing in the men's 88 kg combat Sambo, and of course, in a situation where we find a Nigerian, making history in this competition, just as the first African to compete in the blind Sambo at the World Championship. It looks like a promising one for us at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I just hope we can build on that very fine record of being the first African to, of course, produce a player that qualified for the first major championship. I hope we can also take courage from that and go all out for this championship and see how to, of course, better our stand when it has to do with Sambo. Not one of the known sports right here. Not too many.
A lot of people ask what is Sambo sports.
Exactly. Not too many people have been able to come across the sport or even follow the sport. But then we can also make it, one that can, endear the hearts of Nigerian sport followers out there, make it become a popular sport right here. And of course, we are hoping that the three men can be able to go out there and do their best.
A lot of money is involved in this one. $5,000 for gold.
Definitely, and of course, it trickles down from gold to silver, $3,000, bronze, then $2,000. So I think it's a very big money. That is also another huge motivation for, of course, the participants as well.
Nigerians participating in the Sambo sports, and like we mentioned there are three categories, and all of it has amounts attached to it. It's just a novelty sport, and we just hope that our representative will build on being the first African nation to participate in the sport in 2014. Now let's move forward. Nigeria's Zainab Adeshina has advanced to the semi-finals of the women's 51 kg boxing event at the 2025 Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Of course, this came off a knocking out of Iran's Ghazala Razoui. Additional stop her opponent in 2.28 of the first round meet. This is another territory where Nigeria is making inroads. This Islamic Games ongoing in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I hope we can, of course, take full advantage of that. Just like we heard from the Malam Shehu Diko a few days ago before they jetted out of the country to the Riyadh city. Say that it is more than just the sport, it's more than just the Islamic solidarity game, but then about also preparing our athletes for next edition of the World Championship. But then again, he also talked about the fact that they are also going out there to gain more knowledge because our own National Sport Festival that is set to take place in Enugu State is just by the corner. They can also learn one or two things from the Islamic Solidarity game and see how to, of course, better, the upcoming National Sport Festival out here. So, but then I hope that our team can, of course, do us proud out there. They've started in a very fine footing in the world of boxing, advancing past their opponent to get to the next stage. We just hope that they can bring back medals, especially from the athletes. This is why I expect a whole lot of, medals to come in, because that is one of the major areas of our, comparative advantage. So we are just keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that we are not just going to go out there and make up the number, but to go out there and compete as well at the highest level with other nations. Nigeria
expecting a lot of medals, especially in athletics there, and of course boxing ongoing. That event, the Islamic Games gets underway later today in Saudi Arabia. We'll keep our fingers crossed and do post you results as they begin to break any moment from now. Meanwhile, after marking his debut in Africa with the E1 Lagos GP last month, we are seeing the same title decider race to be set up in the city of Miami in the United States of America later today. Mike, it's the E1 is an all-electric powerboat race which began with last year in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Now, Nigeria is expected to host this one, and a lot of people are asking, do we have the needed facilities for this event?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it made its first debut in the soil of Africa for the first time, where Lagos State was able to host it right here in Africa. Was a record-breaking one. Thank God that Lagos State is one of the leading state in terms of sport development. So bringing it back to Lagos State for the first time, an African country is hosting the E1. It clearly shows that Lagos State is also growing, and we saw so many different, other participants. We saw the team Drogba, we saw the team Rafael Nadal, we saw the team Brazil, who also won that particular one. Now it has moved to the United States of America, Miami to be precise, where they are going to conclude the final phase of it. And we are hoping that, of course, such a big opportunity will come back to Africa and to Nigeria to be precise. I think it was a history-making one for Africa and for Lagos and Nigeria as well, hosting the first E1 game. I think Lagos, they have the waterways to, of course, host the such a competition, and we've seen them do that last month successfully, right here in Lagos State. And I think for me, it's a good one. It's just that the sad aspect of it is that no Nigerian team, we don't have any team at all in it. We were just given the nod to host the competition, but we don't really have any team out there. But then we hope that it continue to go on. As we've hosted the first edition, I believe we can also take advantage of that. By starting to learn how to, of course, get used to it and form our own team. Don't forget the teams that we talked about that own some of these e-sport event. They are majorly sportmen and women that have come together. Some DJs, like the one that is taking place in Miami. One of the team is owned by a DJ, a music singer as well. So sportmen and women, Drogba in the world of football. You talk about tennis, Rafael Nadal. So I believe one of our sportmen or woman can be able to own a team that can be participating in the E1 competition as well.
In the city of Miami later today, E1 getting up, and like you mentioned there, it's a collaboration of teams formed by sportsmen, and of course not just restricted sportsmen as well. We have those in other professions just forming a team, and like you mentioned, Nigeria needs to look at having a team as well that could be part of this one. Let's go quickly to boxing. Undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk has had his team set for a condition for British Nigerian boxer Moses Tuoma to earn a shot. Moses Tuoma of recent has been the new name in the world boxing, but it looks like he's finding it difficult to get at the bigger names in the past.
Yeah, he's still a rookie in the world of a heavyweight, and that is why he's being conditioned. He has just fought 13 fights, though he has kept an impeccable record in those 14 fights, having not lost any at all, still rising. But then condition now is that he's going to square up against Bradley to determine the more like the ultimate eliminator in that particular one before he can stand a chance to, of course, take on Alexander Usyk, who is a current reigning world champion. Of course, they say that he who pays the piper dictates the tunes. Right now, Alexander Usyk is the man that pays the pipers. Therefore, he dictates the tunes of whosoever wants to challenge him. So I think it's right for him. For such condition, being a heavyweight champion, you just decide to give your opponent any condition. Anyone that feels that he has come of age that he wants to fight you, then as a reigning world champion, you need to condition the person, and that is the situation with Moise Tuema here. He must, as a matter of a must, take on Bradley for the ultimate elimination before he now think about taking on Alexander Usyk.
Moses Tuema, very young, at the age of 20, he's had 13 fights under his belt, 11 of them coming via knockout. That looks like a boxer with a lot of prospects. Definitely,
a boxer with a whole lot of potentials per se, and I think he can just get better. I possibly think for me that he's taking it too fast. than usual, because at the age of 20, 13 fights, 11 coming via knockouts. I think he should, of course, continue to build his storm and make it thick enough before he start thinking of taking on a big or heavyweight boxer such as Alexander Usyk, so that he doesn't get deterred if he get defeated at just 20. I think he should think about taking other boxers way lower than Alexander Usyk at this point in time. But then it is what it is. He has thrown his heart on the ring, determined to challenge the world champion. But then he must pass through that condition given to him by Usyk before he can now say, okay, he stands a chance against the reigning champion.
Mostly trauma, looking out, getting out a good sparring, that's a partner, and of course, and getting better on his record as well. He needs a big name. But when you talk about Alexander Usyk, I'm not too sure that fight will see the light of the day only recently. Let's now go to tennis. And in tennis, Arina Sabalenka has routed past Coco Gauff to avenge her French Open final defeat and secure her first place, that's a place in the finals of the WTA event. Mike, Arina Sabalenka, no doubt, showing why she is one of the top female tennis players around the world.
Definitely, no doubt. It was more like a revenge for what Cory Gauff, at the French Open. Cory Gauff in the last 6 or 7 matches between the pairs, I think Cory Gauff has had a bit of, her, and that is why she was determined to make it count this time around. It was a very exciting game to watch. I saw some of the fans also coming out in their numbers to cheer their different, cheer their different favorite players. The side of Cory Gauff saw massive turnout, from her fans. So I think it was a very exciting game to watch. And at the end of it all, Arina Sabalenka was able to pull the chestnut out of fire. A big congratulations to her, as she has now advanced to the next round of the competition. I think the Stephanie Graf group, they are doing pretty well, and I hope to see them winning this one.
Arina Sabalenka, no doubt, getting the best of Coco Gauff there, and now she's up to against another very staunch opponent, American Amanda Anisimova, is waiting for her later today.
Yeah, Anisimova has kept a very clean record so far in this competition, pulling down some big name players as well. 3 days ago, she was able to, of course, get to this stage where she was also able to knock out her opponent. I think it's been a very good one for Amanda Anisimova, and I think this is going to be yet another blockbuster clash between Amanda Anisimova and, of course, the reigning champion as we speak in the WTA. So just keeping our fingers crossed to see the best of tennis when the two meet each other.
It's not only the females that are in action at this point in time. Britain's Cameron Norrie are sticking to the best of the 3 sets in the match before reaching the Marseille Open semi-finals, as he, of course, took out his title there, if you remember, in 2003. But this time around, his opponent is Karen Jacket, who he took in second and the third set after losing the first set.
Yeah, I think he was able to bounce back from that, first poor outing in the first set to, of course, do the needful. Cameron Norrie, the British-born player, I think it hasn't been an impressive season the last 2 years for him. Having failed to win any major, even reaching the final of any major competition has been a problem for him. I hope that in this final game of the season, before this season comes to an end, he can be able to, of course, maybe at least lay his hand on one title before the season comes to an end. It's not been a good one for him, but then thank God he was able to pull through yesterday's game and get to the next round, where he hopes to, of course, continue to progress through. I tell you, it hasn't been a good one for British tennis players for the last 2 years. I just hope that Cameron Norrie can be able to, of course, wipe out the shame of what the tennis, British tennis players has been doing the last 2 years. But majorly, I think I'm happy for him. After 2 years of not winning any title, is gradually advancing to at least a position where he can be able to lay his hand on a title.
Well, it's tennis championship are spread across right now as we speak, with most tennis players trying to, improve on the rankings. Who do you think will benefit most from this, both in the male and female?
I think for me, when you talk about the female, the world number one, Arina Zabalenka will definitely get an improved, rankings. Then the female, Yannick Sinner, no doubt has taken the first place position after beating, the young Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz a few days ago to reclaim the number one spot. So I think I don't really see any changes in the male because I would definitely expect Yannick Sinner to continue to maintain that lead, followed by Carlos Alcaraz. Maybe Novak Djokovic is going to improve on the ranking. Currently, he's seated fifth as we speak. But if he goes all the way to win this particular one, then that will mean that more points will be added to him. And from fifth, maybe he might possibly leap up to fourth or even third in the rankings.
Well, with Grand Slams all wrapped up, and of course, season-ending tennis event, and what we have here, and of course, all eyes will be in Turin, especially for the male, and of course, across to Saudi Arabia as well. Tennis fans around the world are looking at how their favorite stars will end at the end of the season on the ranking table. That's it for this half of the show. We'll return back in a jiffy. When we come back, we'll review a lot about football here in Nigeria, and of course, cover the top leagues around the world. The Conference League and of course the Europa League has something for you this hour. We'll return back shortly.
Feyenoord gaat door!
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk, and this is the second half where we bring you the latest happening around the world of football. And quickly, Mike, top dignitaries are expected to grace the opening match of the 2025-2026 Nigerian National League after having a break. The president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Alhaji Ibrahim Guzo, and of course other top dignitaries from Nasarawa State, led by Engineer Abdullahi Sule, the governor of the state, was special guest at the opening fixture of the season.
Yeah, I think it's good that we're going to have some dignitaries to grace the occasion of the opening match of the Nigerian National League.
It will take place at the Lafayette Stadium?
Definitely, and it comes up on Saturday, which is tomorrow. So we hope to see the best of football, though it is one game that is going to be played in the first day of the game, while the rest of the games take place next week. But then I think it's a good one to have the governor of the state present, and of course the Nigerian Football Federation boss talking about Ibrahim Gusso. It's going to be a good one. Let's see how it goes.
Nigerian National League actually is supposed to be like a feeder to the Premier League. Are we achieving that objective?
Yeah, we are, because we've seen teams gain promotion. The last season we saw teams that were promoted, Kun Khalifat, Parau FC, and two other teams that progressed from there.
Yeah, teams are progressing, but do we have players who are really moving from the teams that make up the National League into the Premier League side?
I think we've seen a few, not too many. We've seen some of them with Remo Stars. We've seen some of them from even Nasarawa United. We've seen some in, was it, I'm trying to recall the name. There is 2 years in Kano Pillars as well. So it's just that the numbers are not encouraging enough. But then we still see 1 or 2 handful of some of those players that are quality, that are good enough, applying their trade in the lower division, being bought by other top flight division to, of course, add to their strength. But then we need to do more, because that should be the breeding ground of talent, where clubs from the top flight division can, of course, go and get quality players. A lot needs to be done.
Nigerian National League gets underway this weekend, tomorrow to be specific, at the Lafayette Township Stadium. The governor expected to grace the occasion in conjunction with, or in company of the NFF president, Alhaji Guzo. While the National League gets underway for the season tomorrow, the Nigerian Premier Football League have announced a new date for match day 12 fixture between Rivers United and their counterparts from Kun Khalifat FC. Kun Khalifat FC, Mike, the match was earlier scheduled to take place on Sunday, but now we understand it has been moved by 24 hours to be Monday, the 10th of November.
Yeah, because Rivers United had one of their game that was postponed, courtesy of their CAF Champions League engagement played a few days ago. So they needed that 24 hours rest as well, so that they can be able to prosecute the match, because the match was supposed to take place on the 9th, which is a Sunday, to be precise. But then, because of the fact that Rivers United played one of their outstanding games, they had to shift it to Monday, which is on the 10th. So I think it's a good one for Rivers United, because that will enable the players to properly get rest and then be ready for the game against their opponents.
Talking about the rescheduled fixture involving Rivers United and the counterpart from Benin, the Insurance of Benin, that match took place yesterday at the Samuel Osagbovo Stadium in Benin City. And because of that, they have to be given a day rest to meet up with their next fixture. Looking at that fixture at the Samuel Osagbovo Stadium in Benin, it ended goalless. Rivers United traveling well, you want to say?
Yeah, but as one of the teams that is contending for the title, you need to also go extra mile, not just traveling to get a point and you're happy for it. You should try and win away games, because that will actually give you the edge over other teams. If you can be able to win away matches, it's a plus for you, though it's not a bad one. They went away from home to pick a valuable point, but then they can go further to go for all 3 points, because they are big side. Don't forget they finished very strong last season. This season as well, hoping that they can go all out for the title this time around. So I think they should do more, not just picking a point away. They should fight hard to also get all 3 points the next time.
Rivers United are expected to do more, especially when they travel. They don't seem to be scoring goals both at home and away.
That has been their major problem. Rivers United, since last season, they just find it very difficult to score goals, and I think Finidi George should be very worried about this, because you can, take this kind of a form of struggling to score goals, both home or away games, to the CAF Champions League, where they will be playing some of the biggest names in the CAF organized competition, the likes of Pyramid, the likes of RS Bakane. So these are teams that when you come up against, you need to score goals. You don't just rely on your defensive strength. You must also score goals, to get yourself going. So I think Rivers United head coach Finidi George should try and work on that aspect of, poor finishing in front of goals.
Well, we hope that Rivers United and the team will do everything possible to start to score goals, because especially playing the group stage of the CAF Champions League, goals will determine the placing at the end of the day. But for now, they have to savor the fact that in the last 7 years, no team from Nigeria has scored goals good enough to propel them or take them to the group stage of the CAF Champions League.
Yeah, I think this time around, Rivers United, they've also made a record of, for the first time in over many years, we are seeing them progressing to the group stage of the CAF Champions. The more you progress, the more money that comes to your purse. I hope this is going to be an additional motivation for Rivers United to, of course, find a way and try to score goals, because it will help them to go far. If you are not scoring goals in such a big stage, then it becomes very worrisome at this point. So, like I said, Finidi George need to start working out, a master plan on how to tell his boys to, score goals. Positioning is very, very important, in the game of football. Their strikers should learn how to properly position themselves, and of course, to be very clinical. When you might not have the chances come your way, but then if you have one or two, make sure you bury them, and that is what keeps you going as a team. So you need to do a lot. I listened to his statement shortly after the draw. He talked about the fact that they are going to be very solid in defense, and I asked myself, is it only defense that you are only focusing? What about the striking option? So I think Finidi George, he has time right now. The next game comes up, or is either 20th, yeah? Knockout, games in the CAF Champions comes up on the 20th and 24th of this month. So I think he still have more time from now till then to work out a way or modalities on how to tell his boys how to score goals.
Talking about how teams will perform, Super Eagles coach Eric Chill believes that a successful outing at the crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup playoff coming up next week will drive his ambition to win the 2025 African Cup of Nations, due to take place in Morocco later this year. Eric Chill has to put his team right and ensure they do not only win the playoff, but he's now taking it a notch higher of winning the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah, I think he's very right. The outcome of the playoff was certainly going to ginger and spur him and alongside the team to do well in the CAF, in the African Cup of Nations, because if we go out there and get the World Cup ticket right from the African playoff, then we get to the continental playoff, if they go all the way to, of course, pick the World Cup ticket, that would be an additional, a ginger for the team ahead of next year's African Cup of Nations. So I totally agree with him that if he clinches the World Cup ticket, then it's going to serve as a additional motivation for the team the upcoming African Cup of Nations.
Well, before the Nations Cup, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, led by Eric Chill, will have to contend with the Gabonese national team in the playoff of the World Cup. That comes up in Morocco in the next few days from now. Ahead of that fixture, the Gabonese coach has put together a 27-man squad to see how to displace just to stop Nigeria from going to the World Cup?
Yeah, for the Gabonese, I think they are also preparing massively for this very one, because if you watch through during the normal World Cup qualifier, they did pretty well. They got more points, scored more goals compared to Nigeria. In fact, they had about 25 points. They just narrowly lost on a single point against, was it Cameroon that had it? No, it was a team that had 26 in their group, but they had 25 points, far beyond what the point accumulation of Nigeria. They scored more goals. So I think we need to be very wary, because they have a very good players as well, experienced players. Have the likes of former Arsenal and Barcelona, even Chelsea player, talking about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Still have Lemina, who plays his trade in the English Premier League. So I think we need to start preparing massively as well, to stand a very good chance against the Gabonese. We don't need to underrate them, because they're also professional. They have a very good and a very compact team as well. But then I just believe that with this lifeline given back to the Super Eagles, they can seize that opportunity and see how to, of course, devise a means to outclass their opponents.
Talking about a fixture between Nigeria and Gabon, emphasis, I say a lot of eyes will be on, of course, Victor Osimhen and Pierre Aubameyang.
Definitely. Currently, Victor Osimhen is one of the top striker in global football. You can mention 1, 2, 3 strikers presently, without also including Victor Osimhen's name in that very list. Maybe
one of the top scorers in UEFA Champions League?
Not just one of the top scorers. He is the top scorer because he has 6 goals. I think closely followed by Erling Braut Haaland with 5 goals, Harry Kane 5 goals. Kylian Mbappe 4 goals in that very order. So he is currently the top goal scorer in this year's UEFA Champions League. So, and I believe that he's going to bring that massive rich form down to the Super Eagles when the playoff gets underway. Just next week, Tuesday or Thursday rather, we see that particular one.
Looking forward to that fixture. There has been a lot of rumbles because CAF has appointed South African officials to handle the fixture between Nigeria and Gabon. And going by the outburst of the South African Football Federation president saying Nigeria, everything should be done to stop Nigeria from going to the World Cup. Do you think this is a fair appointment by CAF?
I think it's a very big blunder, committed by FIFA by appointing 4 South African officials, and they won Cotonou, Benin Republic, one of the officials is from Benin Republic. Why 4? Is they are South Africans rather. So I think for me that is very insensitive of FIFA. The reason is very simple. We all know the pressure leading to South Africa 3 points and 3 goals being deducted from their point, and that is why they had to even struggle to ensure that they clinch the automatic ticket. We know the football rivalry between the Super Eagles and South Africa over the years. It is very, very insensitive for FIFA to appoint. These are the same people that were in the same group. In fact, one of their ministers is saying that Nigeria should not, in fact, it doesn't wish Nigeria qualify for the World Cup. Then why must you appoint 4 officiating officials to take the center stage in a match that involved the Super Eagles and Gabon? I think for me, FIFA should just. This is the way I expect the NFF to write an official letter to FIFA, making their stand very clear that they don't want such official. Of course, it is within their own right to lodge such complaint. All right. So I think for me, it's not a good one. You cannot appoint an official that sounds more like an enemy to us to officiate in such a very sensitive game. It's a World Cup qualifier, it's a decider, it's a playoff. So I think we needed a neutral body, maybe from Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, that would have served better other than South Africa, officials. So for me, I think NFF should do the needful. This is why I expect them to, be up and doing. In football, there are some politics aspect of it, and this is where we need to play it, to the favor of our own team.
Talking about playing politics, we have not just the NFF you talked about. There is a FIFA vice president from Nigeria.
Definitely, FIFA vice president. We have about
3 other officials in CAF.
We have about 4 FIFA members that were just appointed by FIFA in some of the strategic position by FIFA to, of course, be part of the football governing decision.
But this, yes, it's a FIFA World Cup, but CAF will have a very strong, input in the appointments of these referees.
Definitely, and I think CAF as well should also, be very sensitive about this kind of a situation. In fact, I expect CAF to have made the move by telling FIFA that this is how things start. Although FIFA, they are aware that South Africa and Nigeria were in the same group. All right. Now, bringing another official from Benin Republic, don't forget that we stopped Benin Republic because Benin Republic needed just a draw in the last game, to, of course, book the second spot, which would have given them that opportunity to go for the playoff. But then we beat them 4-0, and yet you are appointing yet another person from Benin. It doesn't really make sense for me.
Okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see whether the days leading up to this fixture coming up next week, whether there could be change of officials. But for now, our fingers are all crossed. Meanwhile, the biggest news coming in this hour is that Super Falcons goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie has been shortlisted for the 2025 FIFA Best Women's Goalkeeper Award. I can't remember a Nigerian female goalkeeper nominated in this category in the past.
I think she is the first person, and she has done pretty well for herself. So far this season, did very well for her club side, Paris Saint-Germain, before even moving down to Brighton and Hove Albion in the English women. Then did pretty well with the Super Falcons, helping them to win their 10th WAFCON title, being nominated as one of the best goalkeepers in the last Ballon d'Or award. I think for me, she truly deserves to be also nominated this time around. She has been very, very efficient for her national team and of course for her club side as well.
It's a season of awards, and we'll look at one more. Manchester City star Phil Foden has beaten Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen to the UEFA Champions League Player of the Week for match day 4. Do you agree with this one? Hat-tricker against Phil Foden of Manchester City.
Yeah, I think I agree with that decision.
Because
Victor,
2 of his goals were penalty goals.
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
And we saw Foden scoring from outside of the penalty box.
Definitely. Very clinical goals that he scored, 2 outside goals. When you play Phil Foden at his normal position, he tends to get the best of him. Just as most time Pep Guardiola tried to do over experimentation. That is why sometimes he's drifted to the wide, but play him close to the striker to serve as a supporting striker. That is where you see the best of Foden. So I think he deserves to win it.
Phil Foden better than Victor Osimhen, match day 4 of the UEFA Champions League. But well, that's what it is. Let's begin to wrap up the show now and look at some of the results of matches that were played last night. Do you have anyone that tickled your fancy, Mike?
Not too many. We just saw normal results in the European second and third tier football yesterday. I think Roma continued to suffer a humiliating outing so far this season. I expected them to get all 3 points, but then they lost. I think that is where I'm very, very worried. Apart from that, these are other normal results. There was no too big surprises for me.
Well, Storm Groups play a goalless draw with Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa beat Maccabi Haifa by 2-0. And I think that's a good result for the English side. Well, I think that's the much we can take. We'll bring you fixtures coming up this weekend. Later on our program, Sports Extraordinary at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. And when we do, of course, take a look at other athletic events coming up this weekend as well. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.